so many people with us tonight. It's very common that we see a few, but I love seeing the chambers full. So we will follow the agenda that has been posted in various places throughout the city and applicable to state law as outlined. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have an invocation by Councilmember Hawley, and then I will conduct the roll call. Everybody, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful to be gathered here in this building this evening to discuss the issues that are facing our city and also to celebrate those who have contributed in a meaningful way and made our city and our lives better. We're thankful for all those who are gathered here today, and we ask you to help us have the wisdom and the insight to discuss the issues and make the right decisions that will impact our city now and into the future. We love thee and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. He'll now conduct the roll call. Councilmember Hunter. Here. Councilmember Hawley. Here. Councilmember John.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Okay, I'm going to switch places for item number 2. I'm going to ask to come forward with me at this moment. Anybody that has a blue shirt on that works for public safety, if you'd come forward this time, just have you stand behind me. Chief, you. Along with Joey, would you come forward? He's our fitness center superintendent, and Ellie, our aquatics manager. This is one of the funnest things we get to do in our meetings. And it's not common, but it's when things happen, we like to make sure that we recognize the good things that are happening in our city. So we're met here tonight on this item on something that took place in July, the 12th to be exact. At around 10:45 a.m., a female in the pool started to have a seizure in the deep end of the pool. American Fork pool lifeguards stepped into action and supported the patient above water, then removed her from the pool and continued to care for the patient. They used their training and didn't hesitate to step into action. They sent one of their staff to call 911. They continued life-saving action until paramedics arrived. When American Fork Fire and Rescue arrived, a lifeguard escorted the crew to the pool where a female patient was lying on the side of the pool and compressions were being performed. AF fire units began patient care and found that the patient was in a rhythm that was not sustainable with life. The patient was defibrillated and CPR was continued. After another round of CPR, it was found that the patient had a pulse and was breathing. Upon interviewing staff and the bystanders, paramedics received multiple comments of recognition directed towards the lifeguards. One of these is a retired paramedic firefighter from California. The lifeguards' quick professional actions saved a life, and there is no doubt that the reason a pulse was regained with the patient was direct reflection of these lifeguard actions. So I'm going to add, because this is who I asked to come forward this time if they're all here, and this is who we're recognizing. Marie Hoya, is she present? Okay. Spencer Gigi. Molly Gigi. Gabby Lindsay. And Layden Hornsby. We're recognizing, we'll wait for you. We're recognizing you for the life-saving action on this day at our pool where they impacted this person's life. As mayor of American Fork City and on behalf of the City Council and residents of our wonderful city, It is an honor to present the American Fork Heroes Award to lifeguards Marie Hoya, Spencer Gigi, Molly Gigi, Gabby Lindsay, and Layden Hornsby, and declare today, August 12, 2025, American Fork City Lifeguards Day. This award is presented in recognition of your extraordinary courage, rapid response, and life-saving action on July 12, 2025. Your training, courage, and composure in a moment of crisis made the difference between life and death. You not only upheld your responsibility, you went above and beyond it, embodying the very spirit of selflessness and service that defines our city values. Your actions stand as a shining example of what it means to serve with heart, honor, and integrity. We are privileged to call you heroes. On behalf of American Fork City, I want to extend our deepest gratitude and heartfelt congratulations to each of you. You have all made us incredibly proud. Thank you. We have something you can hang on your wall, all right? So I'm going to ask you to just come forward. Marie? Thank you very much. Molly? I know that last name. Spencer? Let me ask you to stay up, because we're going to take your picture, okay? Layden? And Gabby, I'll come to you, okay? Is there anything anybody else would like to add? I'm going to say that this mic's open if you want to.
I'll say something. Sorry, I don't mean to get emotional, but this is just awesome experience. I just wanted to say I've been in aquatics for 25 years, and I wasn't there that day, but after reading the report and watching the videos, I'm just really grateful. These are awesome lifeguards. Some of them I got to work with years and years ago. They've been with us a long time, and others have just been barely trained for 6 or 8 months. In the 25 years that I've been in aquatics, a lot of times, it's super traumatic experience watching somebody on the deck has no pulse and not breathing, and a lot of times, unfortunately, these young adults, they freeze up, and it's just really hard. So the fact that their training kicked in and they were able to just muscle memory go right through and help save this person's life is just amazing. We have great employees, great teenagers. So I just want to say that.
We can move stuff out of the way. Huddle all in, let's get these guys in the meeting council to just stand together in an elevated spot there. I'll stand by you, Stacy.
Too short even with the one that, but too short even with the one that I said.
I was straight. Great job.
Thank you so much.
You don't have to hide.
Right there.
It's just like,
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hold it there. What's going on there? Okay. We'll now move on to item number 3, and that is time that we set aside for the public to address the mayor, the city council, and our senior staff on anything that's concerning to them. So we ask you to come forward and state your name for the public record. I do have one that has submitted a request. I'm going to go first with this one, but we're not limited to this one. But I'm going to first start with Mr. Jack Morgan, if you'd come forward. We ask you to limit your comments to about 2 minutes.
Okay. Mayor, City Council, thank you. First of all, you do for our city. I've been a resident for 18 years, and I'm currently a business owner too in this city. Come to you today to ask you to consider to amend the golf cart law, follow the ordinance that Highland City has. I totally support and back the golf cart law. The amendment I'd like for you to consider is if the golf cart is street legal, insured, registered, has blinkers, horns, anything else, that you follow the guidance from Highland, allow them on roads that are 25 miles an hour, has to be adult driving, can't be driven at night. I've had my golf cart now for 2 years, and we've driven it just locally on the roads that are 25, and I just recently learned of this. So I know there's a lot of cities that have adopted, allowing street legal, and I'm going to say street legal, I mean, they meet the criteria of a car, basically, other than they can't go over 25 miles an hour, seatbelts, everything. So that's really my request for you to consider. Any questions for me? Okay. Okay, thank you.
We know exactly, Jack, I have your contact information, and I'll be reaching out to you within the coming week. So thanks, Jack. Anybody else would like to make public comment?
I guess you're saying I can come up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm George Brown. I'm running against you for mayor. And I was told today that there's emails going out in my name seeking money and selling cards or something. They're going to send me a copy of the email. It's not my email. Tell out to the attorney. She can take care of it, I guess. Well, maybe I'll go see the police department. So, just wanted to let that know that I'm not sending out, well, at this point in time, any emails. But my emails have all my information on it, so anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I probably skim through 3 a day of scams. It's kind of a sad state of our society, so.
Well, I also received an email saying that I had a ticket, and I had to take care of the ticket. I'll take that as the police chief, too.
Hi, my name is Matt Paskett from American Fork, Thornwood Drive, and I spoke to you 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm here on behalf of our street again. Wondering about a Facebook post made by American Fork City 5 days ago that says they'll be conducting door-to-door surveys to help secure funds from federal CDBG. They're there to help offset the cost of replacing the water mains in the city. And my question is, if those funds are achieved, is there a proposed plan for which streets will be prioritized to replace the water main? As you know, our neighborhood is our street is falling apart. The gaps are even bigger after summer construction from 3 homes being renovated. The gap between the curb and the pavement, the sinkholes are getting bigger. And we see 400 North being replaced with, I think, a chip seal right now. And so we, as a neighborhood, are wondering, where do we find updates regarding the priority for those streets?
In relationship to the CDBG water, I'm not sure what the streets, but Matt, what I will do is, if you'll fill out a sheet, I might have your information, leave your information, and I'm going to have our Public Works Director reach out to you directly.
Okay.
To show you that prioritization, what's going to happen and when.
Okay. I've spoken with him before, and in January, you guys were going on a retreat to discuss that, and he said he would get back to me, maybe it was in February, and I never heard back regarding the prioritization of which streets will be taken care of.
The interesting change is that water line, and that is an application that we'll make to receive those funds. We've been successful in the past. Doesn't say we'll get them moving forward, but that really helps and adds to the overall look of what we want to replace, what's under the road before we replace the road. So
Sure.
I am not certain, but they are, and they're the expert to talk about it, okay? I'm not pushing you off, promise, and you're probably thinking I am, but
No.
they know more than I do about that CDBG grant.
Okay. Last time we spoke, and maybe I'm over time, but is this grant something that citizens can apply for on behalf of their city? Does it have to come from the city council?
It has to come from the city.
Okay.
We're on phase 12. This would be phase 13 of the very same grant that we've done throughout the city.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yes.
Sounds good. I will, where do I get a piece of paper to?
It's in the back, and if you'll give it to Tara Lynn, right over there in the corner with the computer.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anybody else that would like to make public comment?
I hope this is the last appearance I have to make on this issue. My name's Eileen Miller. I live at 692 East, 100 North, and I'm ninth generation American Fork. We've always lived here. We were founders, Chitlins, Adams, Kellys. So when he was giving the genealogy, I thought, I think I'll include that tonight. I work for Sunrise to tell Mayor Frost how much I appreciate, because he's kind of initiated trying to resolve this long-term issue. But the direction that we've gone down is not solving it. So this is an open letter to Mayor Frost and the American Fork City Council. 80% of the Woodridge Homeowners Association are elderly retired people, widowed, single women, or young homeowners fortunate to have found affordable housing. Because of these demographics, our monthly HOA dues are intentionally low. In a letter to the mayor from the Woodridge Association presidency, and in a separate cover letter from me to the mayor, we explained that the association does not have the reserves to pay for the engineering studies or the process fees required by American Fork City to solve our situation. The letters asked American Fork City to draw up the necessary paperwork to convey the deeds of 100 North and 700 East Streets to American Fork City free of charge in exchange for the value of the roads on 100 North and 700 East Streets. Had the Concept Review Committee reviewed all of the paperwork and read the letters to the mayor from our HOA presidency, I am certain that they would have come up with different and more viable solutions. Sometime after the developer declared bankruptcy, American Fork City released the bond on the Woodridge Planned Unit Development Project before the project was completed. This situation has been the cause of many legal problems for the homeowners over the past 40 years. American Fork City's traffic grid directs and funnels an extreme amount of public traffic over our private property day and night. Because the roads are used extensively by the general public, we are asking American Fork City to assume the value and the ownership of these roads free of charge in exchange for relief from in exchange from all liability. Mayor, please direct your city staff to assume the cost for the engineering reports, the the legal fees, the paperwork, the staff time, recording fees, and to forego the bureaucratic process of red tape for the conveyance of the roads on 100 North Street and 700 East Street from the Woodridge Homeowners Association to American Fork City in exchange for the forfeiture of the fair market value of the land. Thank you for your efforts to resolve this long-standing issue. And numerous times during the Concept Review Committee meeting, I stated that I can no longer afford to personally pay the HOA's legal and engineering costs as I have done in the past. Thanks.
Thank you, Eileen. Eileen, I'm going to call you in the morning, okay? I have your number. I want to talk to you about it because, okay. Anybody else that would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment period, and we'll move on to our city administrator's report. David?
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, we had an event called the Night Out Against Crime, where our law enforcement team met at Robinson Park and had an event for all the public to come and meet them, understand what they do. A lot of them got to throw a ball at a dunk tank and try and dunk some officers. It was a good time. But I just want to thank our police department for their efforts to make sure that the public knows that we are here to serve them. And they do such a fantastic job. And I just want our police department to know how much we appreciate and honor them. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Okay, now move on to our city council reports. We'll start with Councilmember Hunter.
Thank you, Mayor. I just probably just want to mention Steel Days. It feels like we've had so many events since, but we haven't met in this forum since then. But it feels forever. But what an amazing event. It's every time we go through that, it blows my mind how many hours and hours of preparation and just there's just so many events that take place in that 8-day process. So we did just lock down our dates for 2026. Be a little unique because of the holidays and the way they fall. But maybe, should I go on record as saying that, I guess? So be the 18th through the 25th or 6th. At any rate, it does go over the 24th of July holiday. So this will be a unique one this year, just the way it works out. The alternative would have been having 4th of July. So it didn't seem, at any rate. So mark your calendars. I know a lot of families like to, plan reunions and things of that nature to be able to be together during that week. But I just want to thank all the volunteers. There's, again, thousands of hours of time that are put in. Our public safety officers, both fire and police, Public Works, all of our Parks Department. They're just, the chamber, there's just an absolute ton of time put in to make that the success that it is, and literally tens of thousands of people that attend that. So just want to thank them. David, thank you for your leadership. And I mean, there's nobody probably ahead of David in the volunteer service hours. We appreciate that example. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report. Councilmember Holly.
I don't have much either, just kind of the same thing, especially regarding my committees/commissions. It was nice to have the garden tour on it again, and had some new yards this year, and one of them was one of my neighbors, and it was a little bit smaller yard, so it's just nice to see how different people throughout the community do their little part to make our city nice and beautiful, and are willing to share their yards for a couple of days with residents. And I think we had some people that came up from Springville or something like that to look at some of these yards. So it's one of the big events in the Steel Days. And then also, shout out to, I think I saw Cameron, but we got a little booth or table set up for the Historic Preservation Commission. It was actually pretty popular. We had a cool picture of 1950s American Fork, and lots of people who signed up to be volunteers, not necessarily part of the commission, but just help out with what we're trying to accomplish. And so, it was a great event, and I had people at work that said it was awesome. And so, yeah, just very much everybody who was involved with that for planning and all the volunteer stuff. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Holly. Councilmember John.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things real quick. We had our final night of music in the park last night, and Councilmember Carroll represented us very well. Thank you, Stacy. And they had a sellout crowd. They sold 1,300 tickets, and they were sold out. sorry, they sold 1,600 tickets, and they were sold out. It was a lot of fun. It was a good crowd, and people had a lot of fun. We maybe need to prepare a little more next year and get our police and fire involved with parking and stuff, but it was a good one. Last one is a little tough one. Our work session last week was on water rates, which we're doing a rate study and working on water rates, and I got to commend David. I know it's a tough one, David. It's a tough one, and you worked hard, and our consultants have been put in a lot of time and doing a good job, and we've got a ways to go yet. But overall, the state of Utah is really using water at a record rate. All of our reservoirs were full this year. Deer Creek, Jordan Hill, Utah Lake was over 100%. And we are using these at a record rate. The Provo River Aqueduct, the old Bodot Canal, has never had this much water flowing through it, ever. So it's not just us, it's the entire state. So I think we're getting conservation fatigue. We're getting maybe a little lackadaisical. And I just want to encourage our residents to really look at when you really need to water. And if you've got some dry spots, that's okay. If you look at all of our parks and our cemetery, they're not perfect. They look really nice, but over in the corner, there's going to be a dry spot. Our parks and our cemetery department do a really good job of conserving water. So I'm going to give them kudos, but we really, as a community, we need to do better. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Carroll.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I will also just say personal thank you for Steel Days. It's really amazing the work that they do, and there is a lot that goes into it. And just from Stacey Carroll's point of view, I think my favorite event is actually the garden tour. Like, I know that it's simpler in some ways, but I find it inspiring and just beautiful that the things people do with their yards is crazy. But anyway, there's a lot that goes into it, and our recreation department, our city staff, the chamber, so much. So thank you. I cannot not say thank you for that because it's so huge. The other thing I'll just mention is that we did have a park tax advisory board meeting this week where we discussed suggested changes to the ordinance that they see might be of use, and they were able to make some progress, and I think that we'll be able to have something relatively soon, within maybe the next month, with some of their thoughts, and we can see what they're thinking. So I'll just pass that on to you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Taylor?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say I will never get tired of nights like tonight where we celebrate, young kids, teenagers tonight. But every time we have a hero award, man, it makes me appreciate the community and everything that we've got going on. To see those kids come in and take that kind of responsibility, and I've never had to save someone's life. I don't know whether I'd freeze up, whether I'd run away. I certainly hope I wouldn't, but it's absolutely incredible, the training that they receive and then the job that they do, and to have the people come out and support them. I'll forever appreciate, our hero award and the things that go on that way, and those young kids and our public safety personnel who save lives routinely. And then, quickly, end of the bench, Steel Days, but Steel Days is forever my favorite. I had so many people talk to me about people outside of our city planning on Steel Days and coming to Steel Days, and how absolutely fantastic the park was, and the carnival, and different things, and so many great things going on, and all of the work and effort that goes into it. And so thank you all for all of the tremendous work you do with that. Last item is one of my committees, obviously, is the golf course committee, and they will have their presentation to all of the city councils this coming Thursday, the 21st at 6 p.m. So if you could mark your calendars and plan on being there for that, that is where they present, all that's going on and everything that's taking place. The golf course is doing incredibly well. I was golfing today with a gentleman who lived just off of North County Boulevard, just in those new homes across or on the north side of Canal, and he said, he was asking me would I like to golf, and of course I told him, and he says, oh, it must be nice to get on there because I can't get on there. I can never get on there. If you're someone who sets your tee time a week in advance, you can't golf at Foxhole. And it's true. He said, but the great thing is if you wait, 30 to 45 minutes, you can get a spot on the driving range. It's just, it's incredible the popularity of the golf course and everything that's going on. And so they have some really good things to present to all of us. If you've been there before, you'll notice it's very informative. It's worth your time to be able to be there. And so that is next Thursday, the 21st at 6 p.m. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. I will be there. For the mayor's report, there's one more spot. So here's the end of the bench. You know what? Still days. It seems like forever ago that it happened. But we haven't met in a public meeting since then like this, in a council meeting. But, that is an incredible week. It keeps me hopping, and I love every minute of it. The number of smiles that you see in both kids and adults alike, I don't know, they just charge my battery to see so many people coming out and supporting it, having fun. I see family traditions that are at the carnival or various events, and then in my mind's eye, I know there's a lot of barbecues that take place at their homes for the fireworks, and so it is just quite the event. The one thing that I probably notice more now is when you're at the carnival, because it is so wide open, where it's at with our guy. I'm running into classmates, I'm running into former people that I might have known at work, and I think I would have lost them at Robinson Park. So it's become just a wonderful, wonderful thing for our city. It's so diverse. I don't know if another city does as many things as we do, as I kind of look around and kind of gauge it. The recreation department really has taken center stage on so many different activities. But if you like art, I could go on and on. So it's a proud day for our city, a proud week. So thank you for all those who participated, and it is absolutely a team effort. I would like to just talk a little bit about Night Out Against Crime. I was first in on the duck tank, and had a few kids thought they could take me down, and I tried to not make them cry and just have fun with them. But it is a neat event. There's the fire right there alongside them, participating businesses set up booths, and it's a way that we can learn from our police department of the different aspects of their job, and then just having them fill and be a part of our community. It's a great, great win-win event. And then the last one is something that, it was behind closed doors, not so big and public, but I think enough to mention, and that is the fact that we had a meeting with the new leadership of the Developmental Center. And in that meeting, we had, Councilmember Carroll was there, we had our chiefs, both chiefs, and we had the director and an assistant, and it was just a way of making sure that they know that we are there for them. They are part of the fabric of our city, and that we are here to support them and to strengthen that relationship between us and the Developmental Center. And special for us to be there was a special resident that came with them. Really, she's the one that called the meeting. We just brought others with it. And she just came away and our spirits were lifted. And her optimism and her outlook on life and her condition was really inspiring. Probably an event I won't ever forget from being there. So that is the mayor's report. We will now move on to the common consent agenda. It consists of all of 8 items that are before us. Any noted changes on the minutes, Carolyn? Okay. Is there any questions that we have as a council with common consent? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the common consent agenda as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember John.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'll call for a roll call vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, item number 1 is a review and action on a professional service agreement with Architectural Coalition LLC for architectural drawings for the police station tenant improvements. We do have the applicant here. If we need him to answer any questions or any staff available. Any questions council has?
Can we get just a quick timeline on some of that, just for the record?
Who's the best person for that? Patrick, thank you. We'll have to keep right up there.
So we have met with the architect to go over kind of the scope of the project. Depending on essential timeline from the plans, we're looking at, I think, mid-fall for finalization of plans and a demolition plan first. So we'd work on some demo, and then moving into selecting a contractor to do that, and probably early winter, I think, is the anticipated start date for selection of the contractor and main works for remodel.
So hoping to move in springtime.
I think it would be summer.
Summer.
Yeah, I think that's what we looked at as tentative.
Well, I know our PD needs it, so that's all. It's great.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks, Patrick.
Mayor, I'd move to approve the professional services agreement with Architecture Coalition LLC for architectural drawings for the police station tenant improvements, and authorize the city to sign the necessary documents.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on this motion? We'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Kell.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, item number 2 is a review and action on approval for an agreement with Wonder Entertainment Incorporated. And Camden, to have you. We have a representative from Wonder Entertainment, but...
Yeah, Todd's here too with Wonder also. Happy to answer any questions, either of us. I think I will say, I noticed if you decide to approve it, one change I would recommend, we had updated the insurance terms for comprehensive, and I apparently didn't update them in the document to you, so I would suggest a change to that as part of the motion. But we can do that later. Happy to answer questions that you guys have initially regarding.
I have a couple of questions, I guess, just to make sure I understood. So this is going to be operating from mid-October to end of January, is that correct?
Yeah, that would include setup and takedown, but yes.
So like the parking lot will basically be not usable except for that little strip?
Except for access to Murdoch Trail, the dog park, and parking for, and use of pickleball. Yes.
And let's make sure we include the disc golf course.
Yeah, the entrance to the disc golf course is right next to the dog park, so it'll be the same parking space for them as well. But yeah, they'd all have access, but otherwise, no. It would be...
So I guess it's not used very much in the wintertime, but is the parking lot ever full or needed during the wintertime? That's enough space?
The only thing that I could think of, and I added it in there too, is it's a designated area for firework launches for like New Year's Day and Chinese New Year, which I think is mid-February. And so for those two specifically, we would update our map and communicate that those, and we can pick a different location if we want to, but that's really only use of that space during that time.
And that's kind of my follow-on question. With the Chinese New Year, that's 17th February. So is it still, are they going to be in there till 17th February? But that's 3 weeks after the end date.
We could talk with them. I think that's, I'm trying to remember the timeline. Is to, to January. So yeah, actually that one would be fine.
Okay. Okay, I think those are most of my questions.
What rec programs do we have going? Because I know we may not have like an official...
Flag football.
Yeah, that's where I was headed.
There's football and...
There's a fair amount of...
We're done the middle of October with organized, so.
So any club or anything like that using the ball field or...
Yeah, that'll be done.
I think my question, and this might have been in the contract, and I just can't remember now. This is a 3-year contract, or is it like one that's renewable?
Yeah, one that's renewable.
Okay, because I'm thinking like, if, for example, we did get a huge uproar that I couldn't use the parking lot or something, then maybe we could reassess.
Understood.
Is what I was thinking.
Yep. Ideally, this is a long-term partnership, and they're investing resources to
Absolutely.
buy it for us. But yes,
Yeah.
the contract does allow us to have those conversations and
Okay.
figure out what we want to do. The agreement, I mean.
I've been talking about this for a long time. I think this is cool, and we have a really unique space for it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Goes
going
around.
to, we just have to make sure that access, at least on, 500 East or one of those, if you go to Spanish Fork, the queue for Spanish Fork is just out of control long.
It is.
And it's, like miles and miles long. And so I just want to make sure that we have something set up that, because we need to be able to allow residents, in and out and do that, efficiently and effectively. Obviously, we can queue people up 550, which would be really good since there are, are no homes directly fronting 550, but we've just got to find a great traffic plan that and we'll be vigilant of making sure that's good to
And Todd, I can't remember the numbers, but he has a count on how many people can queue up in the parking lot, and the overflow parking lot's off 550, the two wings, without ever getting onto the street. But we also talked about if it starts queuing up onto 550, he would just be turning people away, saying we're full at this time, so that we're never blocking traffic at that point. But
Tyler, why don't you state your name? Sure.
Yeah, my name's Tom Glover. I'm the CEO of a very small company, but, so we've been doing this for 10 years. Just to give a little bit of experience, we've been doing it for 10 years. We've done about 36 different shows throughout the years. We've been operating in South Jordan for, this is our 9th year there, 10 years in total. But traffic is our biggest concern in terms of the city's impact as well as our guest impact. So we'll operate on a time ticketing platform. 92% of all of our guests sign up in advance online. So we expect the same thing down here. We don't market that we have any on-site sales. So we'll try not to turn people away if they come, but if it gets to be a congestion issue, we will. And we operate in a model that allows for staging, so it's not just a queue like Spanish Fork where you just line up and it's next one up. We'll put them into a corral system and then motion them through, so there's a wide spot in the pipeline to allow for that congestion that comes off the roads.
Great.
Nice.
I read through the contract, couldn't find an expected cost per vehicle to go through. Have you set that yet, or do you have a plan, or?
Yeah, we evaluate it by each market, but being that we have a show in Salt Lake County, we expect our Utah County rate to be quite similar at $35 per car. There'll be a little bit of change in terms of demand pricing. Again, that's mostly to manage congestion and flow, so we'll have some peak pricing in there to manage that. But we're excited. It's really, we hope this to be a fun community event. Like Kim had said, we're putting an investment into this, hoping that it becomes a favorite tradition for, certainly for American Fork City and their residents, as well as some other Utah County folks, so.
Yeah, I've gone up to the one in South Jordan. I've driven up there just for that, and it is really, really cool. And I had friends that visited from the East Coast, and that's one of the things that we did. So it is a cool event, the one that's up in South Jordan anyway, so.
Thank you. And it's not without its problems. I will say we will do our very best to prevent congestion. Having said that, if we get people who arrive just because they've heard about it and they saw that it was sold out online, we will turn them away as fast as we can, and we'll actually look to the city if needed to provide some law enforcement presence there. We kind of know based on past history when those peak times will occur if needed, so we're certainly happy to work with the city on a contract basis for law enforcement if needed.
Cool, I'm excited.
You're all invited. How's that?
I'm looking forward to it. This is really neat. There'll be enough people who just want to drive by and see it from a distance. I mean, it's going to be that neat.
Yeah, the lights.
I'll clarify now, on the agreement that you had before you, it says comprehensive general liability insurance, $1 million per occurrence, $3 million in aggregate. They had requested, and we reached out to our insurance broker, they were going to switch to $2 million in aggregate, so it was going to be lower, but due to the very safe nature, no one gets out of cars go very slow, they're along a
dedicated area. Our insurance broker thought that that was fine to do. So the motion, if you were to do it, would be with the adjustment from $3 to $2 million aggregate insurance.
Okay, Mayor, sir, is there any questions that the council has? I'm good. I've been watching this and reading this, so, okay. I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the agreement with Wonderland Entertainment Incorporated.
It's not Wonderland, it's
Wonder
yeah.
Entertainment, sorry. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. That Wonder Entertainment Incorporated, it says Wonder on the contract. And authorize the city to sign the necessary agreements with the change in insurance requirements number 6, line number 1A, to change the aggregate from $3 million to $2 million.
Okay. All right, that'd be good. All right, I have a motion by Councilmember John,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? Yeah, call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
All right, one more thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
For the holidays, thank you.
It's gonna be cool.
Okay, item number 3 is a review and action on a resolution approving a land use map amendment known as Meadow View Ranch, application number 2 located approximately 7058 north, 5750 west, which is approximately 800 south, 100 east, on approximately 25.37 acres. The property proposes to change from the residential low density to the residential medium density land use designation. Patrick, why don't you get us started on this?
Thanks, Mayor. You'll see from the packet that there was quite considerable discussion on this item by the Planning Commission. For additional background on the project, the item went to Planning Commission prior to this as a joint application with additional land surrounding that. And based on the difference in the proposals, it was a staff recommendation that it might be best to split up the applications for land use changes, just based on the product type and the impacts and just the overall difference of what the different groups involved in that joint application were looking to do. Ultimately, we've had considerable discussion at past meetings on the area north of 1100 South for the intended use of that area to be for residential rather than planned industrial. That discussion never really went beyond that it should be residential. So I think it's probably worth having the discussion about if you consider medium density or the low range of medium density to be to meet that overall intent of what we discussed. Looking at the concept plan that the applicant has presented, and I think it may be included in the packet for you as well. There are, the way everything is laid out would meet, at least from my perspective, something that would be reasonable to consider in that part of the city. There are some changes that would need to be made to that concept just for road alignments and where access and exits would be for the project, but really what the applicant's seeking at this point is just a land use amendment for if they were to annex into the city, that they would come in with a medium density designation rather than that low density designation to allow for a mixed use type of development I say mixed use, a mixed residential type of development, mixing some townhomes and single family detached.
So I got a couple questions. I met with the team a couple 3 months ago about this, and they were able to implement my concerns, talking about off-street parking and the increased parking.
I'm feeling like you got preferential treatment here. Those are your concerns.
Well,
Yep, and we've looked at that as well.
I am louder than you.
And I think they can back up that one of the points that we raised as staff was parking needs to be addressed adequately. Setbacks need to be addressing particularly for townhomes. Ensuring that cars don't stick out on the apron of a driveway, that they don't stick out into.
They got the
into
longer
streets.
driveways those kind of things.
At minimum. A lot of that, those are all items that will be addressed at a later concept level and final level, but they are definitely things that we discussed. Placement of townhomes versus single-family homes because of the rail corridor that runs through there, why a certain product type may be more beneficial to have in certain areas rather than in others, just because of the transitory nature of certain housing types. And then one of the things we looked at as well, just overall for city goals and state goals, a change like this would meet our moderate income housing plan goals, and it would also go a long way as a for sale product for meeting the statewide housing plan goals from Governor Cox. I think it's in a great location throughout the city. I think the challenge we have is just making sure that the development itself would meet what we want, but that's the later step in all of this.
So, I appreciated the fact that we have that. I did have a question though. I didn't go back and listen to the planning commission, but I read through it. Why did Rod make the motion and then vote against it? Because we brought in a reduced number of lots, so that was good, per acre. But then Rod voted against it. Anybody was in that meeting? What was their insight behind that? No idea. Okay, all right.
I say it with respect for Rod, the moment of matter.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right. I think some of the, sorry to cut across, I think one of the points that was significant concern in both meetings relates to current events happening in that part of the city, and that is road improvements and the impacts that that's having to traffic.
Yeah.
So there was some emotional decisions made in the prior vote before they went back because of motions not carrying. Yeah, so I think that was one of the main challenging points that they had of ensuring that this wouldn't impact the existing challenges, but I think it could potentially address some of that because there would be a need for increasing the right-of-way along the frontage of the property, ensuring that there's additional access points in and out through there, not just one, so it wouldn't be a major congestion point at different areas, spacing then as well from other accesses and lining up for future corridors throughout the city.
I just, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I mean, it's always, whenever we go to a higher density, it's an issue. When we talk about, the governor's initiative and all of that, the thing for me is, this team is a proven commodity. We're going to get what they say we're going to get. And if you go through and you look at this, I know that can't just be our only reason, but this would be a great spot for us, even at the medium density. And we're still, 6 and a...
And there's a range of densities within that, or zonings that it could come in as.
Right.
It could go anywhere from R1 7,500 to R1 6,000, so 7,500 or 6,000 square foot lots, allowing for a PUD option within that. It's not going to be, medium density was the concern that a couple of our planning commissioners brought up, more so as a buzzword, and what does that mean?
Right.
But looking at the zoning that it would come in under, I think the staff recommendation would be that R1 7,500 to R1 6,000, it wouldn't be anything less than that, or greater than that, depending on what you consider it.
Then keep our gross density down to close to 5.
I think, we had discussed 5 to 6, maybe,
Less than 6.
I think that I had a similar concern, and I met with them too, and I expressed this, is that I am okay with this because it has a mix of a strong emphasis on single-family lots with the townhomes next to the potential industrial areas. Like, all of that makes sense to me, but I always get nervous when we switch a zone, knowing that it gives them more latitude than what they maybe have proposed in their concept. And this has nothing to do with trust. I mean, it could be something happens to the land or something. Can you kind of speak to that? Because this is the land use that they're talking about now, and the zoning would be different. So how, is there some way that I can feel assured that it would be something similar to this instead of something with more latitude?
As we draft the annexation agreement in coordination with all of the different divisions and departments in the city, we'd be making a recommendation to Planning Commission, which would then come to City Council within the draft annexation agreement for what zone it would be annexed in under.
Okay.
And that they would be required to meet all of the development requirements and standards per that section of zoning. They would annex in under that. There would be nothing that would prohibit them as an applicant from seeking a new land use amendment or a new zone change, but it would be council's discretion whether they approve that or not. So it would be up to council to hold them to that if you have a specific goal or based on what was envisioned for that area. So that would be how it could be managed or controlled.
Okay, thank you. That helps a lot, actually. That was my one concern.
I'm not sure if I should feel slighted or appreciated or not. If Clark was heard first and then Stacy, I have yet to meet with him, so I'll take that as a personal slight. But you don't know what order I was met with. You know, it's, you guys jumping on the bandwagon here. But I would just, I do feel like I want to make sure that it's heard that I just don't have a favor for this, I don't like changing densities. It's something, we have a master plan for a reason. We've talked about that. We've talked about not moving. I think there's a precedence, it's not a precedence, but a concern for me, for neighboring property owners that are already trying to move densities, and we're aware of those, that are trying to transfer densities from other parts of the city over to this, and by putting higher density next to it, it only further exacerbates that potential. And so, and by backing it up onto a parcel that potentially looks like, you know, I know people say that you can't ever build a single-family detached home against a train track, but I grew up in one and we lived. So, anyway, just for me, we have density available in the city. You guys have definitely participated in a ton of that. I appreciate that relationship. But we've also been burned in the past with some of that. And I have a huge concern about creating this, well, there's already a buffer now. We have a higher density here. So now we can transfer these densities that are already being discussed on neighboring parcels that they want higher density. And I'm not in favor of that. So to your point, we could argue that, yes, on this parcel, we have all the intent for this being the case. But now that starts that process and it starts this, I don't know, whatever it is, but.
I'm with you, but we still can't ensure the quality of a product that, you know, as that goes, if we decide to change those densities, if we decide to transfer them, we still can, you know, ensure the quality of a development that will go in there, will be across the street from a massive city park and all of that. I'm with you, Ryan. I totally get it. I totally get it. I had a friend talk to me last week, and he said, my kid just bought a home in Maryland. He was back there at summer sales. He was, you know, in Baltimore. He bought a home in Baltimore. He bought a 3-room home, $168,000, some freak amount. And he said, and they said, what are you doing buying a home back there? He says, Dad, there isn't a chance in the world. I could make $200,000 a year, and there isn't a chance in the world I could buy a home in American Fork or in Utah anymore right now in the foreseeable future because the home prices are just whacked. This, I think, gives us a bit of a gateway to that. I think it's a quality product. I love the way, you know, like Stacy said, we're shielding the industrial from this with the townhomes. I don't know, I guess in my mind, we're going to have to be more vigilant as we get those people that are coming in and say, okay, talk to us about what the development's going to be like. What's the development agreement going to include? I don't know. I totally know where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that from build out over there by the TOD. We talked about the rings, and the further away we go, and we keep getting pushed to make those higher and higher density. I've yet to see one come in and say, you know what, I really want to make these larger lots. So every single development that comes in here is asking for that to be constricted. And I've yet to see a single person in our city speak to me and say, you know what, yes, I want a place to live. I got 7 kids. Exact same scenario, right? Yep. It's not getting better, but the fact is, we have current residents who deserve to be protected, and the master plan is what we use to protect that for those residents. And for me, that's the reason that in this particular area, if it was in an area that was already master planned as higher density, I'd have no problem with it. Keep in mind, well, at any rate, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, if I could just say something, I think this is an appropriate place to carve out a slice of heaven for people that are not going to be able to afford a quarter-acre lot. Now, as a crow flies, it's just right, almost straight to the west. There's going to be those lots. There are going to be people that are going to have, it's their first home, and they have equity, or they're rolling something into it, because it's going to be, they're going to start out with everything at a price point that's going to be way beyond any of these young people can make or want to make, I should say. So I think this has ownership. It doesn't go tall and big. It has a mixture of, attached with that one section along the railroad, but you're going to shell a wall. That's going to be a concession. It's one of the things that makes it affordable. And so I'm comfortable with this where it's at. I really am. I think it's going to be neat to live there with that 30-acre park. And within, just walk right across the street down near there. So it's a good addition. And I am sensitive to the density thing, but I'm telling you, I have a kid that is working his butt off his lot is as small as you could ever want, in the smallest starter home you ever could imagine. It's all he can afford. And this is more of that product. It's not cheap, it's not looking run down, but it does offer hope for ownership. Because in his state right now, he can't look at a quarter-acre lot. But you know what? If somebody does at American Fork, I can point them to several places they can go for that. Whether you want to be down there, if you want to go up on 900 East, there's really good developments coming that fit that model. This is a good model.
We still have the final say when we do the annexation agreement on the density. I mean, if we go to medium density, what's the top and bottom on medium density?
The commitment we've already got from these guys, the planning commission was under 6.
You'd be talking anywhere from 5 to...
That's what I'm saying, so let's say the next applicant wants that medium density, what's the max they can go to?
It's about 8 or 9, but it would be planning commission and city council's decision on an annexation agreement, whether they feel like the zoning that it would be getting brought in under is adequate, or if it doesn't meet the goal of that area. So that could be changed at that point. And one of the things we're looking at from working with the applicant on this is having a pretty solid concept plan in place that would be included, that would not just have the zoning binding them to the proposal, but also the concept plan outlining kind of the layouts, and we'd work on fine-tuning that at a later point, but your layout is pretty darn close.
I had to ask why the townhome for Place Corridor. I asked Patrick today because I didn't know. I saw it and he said it's a sound wall. It made a lot of sense. I mean, this development makes sense. What concerns me is that I know we've got the next step on the development agreement or on the annexation, and I'm comfortable with that with this applicant totally. I can do this at 5.87. I just want to make sure that somebody one of the other applicants, when they wanted to do that big portion, wanted to put a ton of high density there. And I think that's a mistake.
Not the right place for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not what's in front of us right now.
No,
And so once you have a train track on one side and a sound wall of townhomes on the other, it certainly begs the question, especially when we know the applicant already wants higher density, and not just medium density there. They want high density. They want to transfer higher density from the TOD area.
Not this applicant, another applicant.
No, in the case of Parker, that's my point. So if you're that applicant, and you're sandwiched between the train tracks on one side and a sound wall, as we've called it in the
But they're not.
townhomes.
Where this applicant has part of that and the rest of the rail corridor is theirs,
It would not be south.
it would be,
My point is, you're saying, that's all I'm getting at.
I don't know if it's a precedent. I mean, I think everything can be evaluated on its own merit, but, again, I think I'm looking at this specific to this project, and there's always a tangent of density credits, but it's totally within our purview to think that's the wrong or right timing.
Is this the same one that came in with that as the original?
so it's the same applicant, but the layout of it is being very
Right,
different.
because we separated
because
the portion that was the higher.
But also there was going to be some land swaps in that, so the layout of this is along that main corridor, first east.
I don't think we're talking bicycles and olives, though. I mean, these are, originally this came in as one application, this parcel that we're talking about. We carved off the portion that was the highest of the density when it originally came in. And so to suggest that that's part of this, or is not intended to potentially come back with a higher density request than even medium density, I don't think is realistic.
How so?
Because it came in first already as a higher density.
Yeah,
And in front of us as a
but the
higher
reason of
density.
separating them out was based on one of them actually having an opportunity of being something that's reasonable and possible to have implemented.
Potentially.
And another that may not carry any chance, and that's,
Maybe.
yeah.
I gotta tell you, I like that layout. I do, with that 5.87, the way you got it laid out, there's a lot of small single families. I like, if we can hold to this with the others, Brian, I can do this, but that's what I'm asking. We can't we?
Yes, we can, absolutely.
We absolutely can.
There's no reason to think that we can't.
I get what you're saying, though. I think it,
No one's
like-
refuting what you're saying.
yeah, like, you have a really good point. And I'm concerned about the amount of high density we have. I've said for years that American Fork is doing their part, and we get screamed at, and yet we keep like trying to accommodate. Like, I would prefer, the single-family homes is where I am attracted to it. And I'm okay if they're smaller lots, because I'm with the mayor, like,
I can get on board with
we
that.
want to have an option. I feel like that's what we're missing, is we do have options for renting and we have options for bigger homes, but we don't have very many options for smaller homes to purchase, and that's why I'm more attracted to that than really what I would consider high density. To me, this is not high density when you have single detached family homes. But I completely agree with you. I'm nodding because I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. Like,
It's denser, but the product type is,
yeah.
I
can
think
see
the
right-
ultimate-
right you're
The
saying.
interior is, for sure, and I could get behind the interior. If the
Right.
exterior part matched,
Then you'd feel a little better.
I'd probably be comfortable with moving forward,
Yeah.
knowing that we could mitigate it with. I think we have to.
All right, any other questions, comments? I think we can kind of see where this goes with the motion. Does anybody want to make a motion? We'll kind of see where we land.
Sorry,
Sure,
this
sure.
was just for my clarification. Medium density is the land use,
Land use.
right? And that encompasses a couple of different zones. Okay.
zoning options.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd be going with the least dense of those. It's really just one zoning step up that the applicant is needing to accomplish this. And as we get to that point of fleshing concepts out, we're happy to engage with council on all of that to see if the concept's going in the direction that council wants to see, so that we don't work on a draft of an annexation agreement and have done a couple of concepts and it's nowhere near what council wants out of that. So we can engage. Maybe it's a work session discussion, but I don't know if that's possible for something like this, but it's, yeah. Want to make sure council's good with this before.
I think that there's been general feelings expressed, and I think it's really about the number, that 5 to 6 range. Now, we're not heading into, the 10s or the 8s even. And, I mean, we like these little single-family homes.
Yeah.
That's 87, that's a lot of little single-family homes.
Yeah. And you might be close to a neighbor, but you have your slice of heaven.
That was 400 east, that was bowling land up there, that everybody, build those 400, between 300 north and 700 north.
Yeah.
From 400 east, I mean, that was, build American Fork in the day, but, Mayor, I would move to adopt the resolution approving the land use map amendment located at 7,058 north, 5750 west, from the residential low density to the residential medium density designation, with instructions of the city recorder to withhold publication of the resolution subject to all conditions identified in the public record of the July 16th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting have been met.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I will call for a vote. Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Nay.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Okay. Move on to item number 4. It's a review and action on ordinance approving a code text amendment known as off-street parking standards of the American Fork City Municipal Code, amending section 17.5.133. The code text amendment plans to clarify the requirements for the surfacing of off-street parking by requiring a hard surface as recommended by a geotechnical engineer. Sam, thank you for reading my mind coming up. So why don't you just give us a summary? I guess we can read it, but you're so good at telling it.
I'll tell you the story, Mayor. So this is basically just a cleanup component for our code. We had some conflicting areas in our code that would say whether off-street parking needed to be a hard surface or not. So we wanted to, one, go ahead and clean up the code and make some consistency in there, as well as we don't want to have that type of a product really in our city, because it creates it'll create a tracking problem. If it's gravel or it's any sort of loose aggregate, it's just going to be raveling onto our streets. We got to sweep it up and kind of keep track of it, because it's a mess. So basically, we wanted to have some sort of a hard surface for maintenance and cleanup, and then for consistency in our code. So that's why this was brought forward.
Okay. All right.
So I have just a couple quick questions. So this is just paragraph K, that was all that was changed, right? Okay. Does this apply to private residences or anything like that, or is this just businesses?
Correct. It'll be, because it's already part of the code for off-street parking.
I'm sorry, is it?
For off-street parking.
No, is it correct, like it's for residences, or is it just for businesses?
It'll be for both. It'll be anything that's off-street that's going to be required. We want it to be a hard surface. So if you're looking at ADUs and things like that, we want to make sure that it's going to be an actual improved parking spot, not just a piece of grass that they can go ahead and park on. We want to actually have a designated spot.
I think the word that I'm landing on is anything that we require.
Yeah.
To meet the requirement of the home.
Maybe-
Somebody wants to do a little RV pad, it's not a requirement.
Right.
They do that in gravel.
Right.
So they want to park somewhere like that, but if it's a requirement, then we want a hard surface.
Yeah, and this is for anything new. There's obviously a lot of them that are existing, and we're not going to turn around and be, going to code enforcement and things like that, because there's areas of the city where we don't even have curb and gutter. But if this is an improved areas where we are asking for these ADUs and things like that, and it's reasonable, yeah, then we want to have that hard surface.
Okay. I guess that's kind of my next question, is like I think about people, like neighbors I have that definitely do not have improved paved areas. They just pull their trucks with their horse trailer or whatever, and I was wondering if this was going to make them change that to be a hard surface.
No.
Okay.
I appreciate the question. I'm just confirming what you said, Mayor. It's the requirement for
Required parking.
required parking. So if we require 2.5 stalls, They can't say, well, I've got, or, that'd be a poor example, because they can use the garage and the two in front on the driveway, but for whatever, they just pull on the front lawn in the grass and say, well, this is my parking spot.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah, I don't want, this is, see, required parking per developed units.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I would move to approve the code text amendment, amending section 17.5.133 titled Off-Street Parking Standards, relating to clarifying the requirements for the surfacing of off-street parking and providing an effective date for ordinance, with instruction to the city recorder to withhold publication of the ordinance, subject to all conditions identified in the public record of the July 16th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting have been met.
I'll second.
A motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Hunter. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Okay, item number 5 is review and action on the award of the contract for the fiscal year 2026 road overlay project to Asphalt Construction and Excavation Company. Any questions on this that need to be clarified?
This is just for the one portion of road, 1300 North and 320 West?
Yeah, this is going to be for our overlay project, so it's brand new asphalt.
We don't have any other overlays in the city this summer?
This is just an overlay specific project, so yeah, no, this is the only piece where we're actually going to go in and put down new asphalt. We're not doing any other utility work. Yeah.
The only reason I ask is because there's so many places I'm like, oh my gosh. I can think of a couple of streets I'm like, oh, when are they gonna be done? Anyway, sorry, my little rant.
Can I ask, piggyback on that? Is that saying this is the only overlay project we're doing in the city, or this is the contract for this particular overlay project in the city?
Yes. So.
Yes, and so.
Yeah, so this year, the current overlay project, which is just a roadway overlay, there's no other utility work, it's no asphalt, is, 320 West and 1300 North up in that area. But we are doing new, I mean, we've done 100 East, we got Ottawa Drive, and then 100 West is coming, and we've done some chip seals, and our crews still have to do some mill and overlay stuff too.
Yeah.
Mill and fill type work.
Mayor, if I could make a comment, saying it's really nice to see 6 bidders in there, and they're not like 1 or 2 here and everybody this far above them. Like it's finally starting to slow down out there on the civil and commercial stuff, that we're able to get good bidders, and the numbers are a whole lot better than they were a few years ago.
Yeah, and the one who actually we're looking to award this to is a brand-new contractor. They used to work for Granite, and so they'll be getting their mix probably from Granite or Staker or Geneva. But yeah, this contractor is new for us, but we checked their references. They've all done good work, so.
Close.
Yeah, really close.
That's really good for us. I mean, that allows us to do more with the dollars we have.
Yeah.
So I was just whispering over here, agreeing with you, that's why I was whispering, because I'm like, yeah, I've heard the same thing, that it's a good time to bid stuff.
Okay, so I have a really quick question. So they're a new contractor, you said?
Right.
But because in this, it says the previous work history, so in the letter that came from Kelvin Smith, so if they're new...
They're new to us, we haven't ever awarded it.
But they're not like a new organization, they've been around for a little bit?
They've probably been around for a few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
Okay, Mayor, can I make a motion?
you bet you can.
I move that the city award, that's too little, the fiscal year 2026 road overlay project in the amount of $222,731 to the responsible low bidder, Asphalt Construction and Excavating Company, and approve the construction contract as presented in addition to a project construction and engineering contingency of $15,000 to be held by the city.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Carroll.
Second.
Second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Okay, item number 6 is a review and action on a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement with Lehigh City related to the Pony Express Parkway extension. Sam? I want to hear this over and over again, so maybe just tell us what it is, and just give us a good summary. This is a key road, as you know, for a lot of people.
So in the town of Lake Shore, correct, this supply?
No. But
So this is an interlocal agreement, as you guys have read. It's with Lehigh. We are partners with them for a MAG project, and this is a component or a phase of Pony Express Parkway. So what we will look at an alignment, design with construction, and it'll go from the Lehigh border, and I don't know the name of the street, I think it's Pony Express, and then it'll go to our 700 West. And then with that, I guess that's kind of the basic, that's the scope of it. We're going to get $1 million now. We will go ahead and start on design. We can go ahead and look at doing some preliminary right-of-way, get the design done, and with that, we can go ahead and start our environmental process with the Corps. Without an actual project, the Corps won't really do any action on this, on how much land we have to mitigate, or the amount, or anything like that. Understanding that we have the money approved by MAG, and it's a project essentially, in theory, this interlocal agreement between American Fork and Lehigh kind of solidifies that. We are agreeing to the 6.7% match. We're going to go ahead and split that 50-50. That'll be both for design, right-of-way, as well as construction. There is an interesting component here, I don't know if you saw that, but if there is any additional funding left over, we can also use that money to go north on 700 West, because it is going to be a bit of a conundrum to have these two lanes pointing right to 700 West, and we're not going to be able to go anywhere. But if there is any additional money left over, we can go ahead and look to take that to the north, so we can get some folks to go ahead and to go north, because they won't be able to go further east. To your point, Councilman John, yeah, we are working on Lakeshore Drive, and there is a chance that road could be in by the time that this road is finally designed and built, so there would be an outlet to the south and then continue to the east. But, I mean, we're still looking at, we're getting $1 million now, and then the remaining balance, the 11 million would come available in '27. So there could be a chance that we could start construction and whatnot, but the cities would have to front load until that money came available. But we're all aware of how long it takes to get right away, how long it takes to get through the Corps. So to think that we would be shovel ready in 2027 would be really aggressive, and the stars would have to align for us to get all that in order. So,
of course, the other projects I'm working on, they're really dragging their feet.
Yeah.
They really are.
So right now, too, we do have our environmental consultant, or Lehigh has hired them, and they're out finishing up their analysis of the Ute Lady Tress. It's an endangered species of plant, so we'll be able to get an idea if it's there, how much of it, and what we can or can't do. So there are some time-sensitive things that we're trying to go ahead and move forward with. But basically, that's what it is we're just agreeing to work with Lehigh. And once that's in place, there's going to be another agreement that's going to be brought forward, and that'll actually be the mechanism that we'll have with MAG, as well as the county for the actual funding. So that they needed to have this in place first, saying, yes, the two cities are going to agree to work together. These are the terms, and then they can go ahead and finalize and get the project going, and we can have some money.
Can we see a map of this, please?
Yeah, I don't know if I need it right now, but...
American Fork and, well, I thought it was like the Mill Pond Road and...
No, this is further south of that. This is...
No, they don't have
I think for future reference, you know, I'm gonna, while we're referencing the map, I'm gonna just get on a soapbox, and people that know me know that what I'm gonna say. And I say this at MAG, but this is a very important road to the region. We know that. We know that there's a lot of pressure to move in and out of out west. And I think that American Fork, we need to be good neighbors. We need to be good to them, and we need to make sure that we can't do it at the expense of gridlock to our area. And as long as we can have connection points to this, north and south, to to make a grid network through our own city, I'm going to support it. Knowing that we're going to start off small, but I'm going to have to look at this in a really big picture to make sure that we're not sacrificing things for our own city just to move people from east to west. And so I'm comfortable with this. I've actually been holding on to this for a little bit until I can just see it a little better. Because if you think about that stretch, it could be a bifurcation to a big part of our city again, another point that you just have to work around. We already have one or two of those with railroads and I-15, so, but again, knowing that we can use it, but we're going to be a little selfish and make sure that we can use it for ourselves, and we're just not, but to turn more traffic up 700 West right now, and we're not talking right now, we're talking the future, we're talking a few years.
2028, 2020.
Yeah, we're going to have to be prepared for that, because nothing, if we don't have 200 South done and really functional, we're in trouble with, okay, here's another, who knows how many, because if you don't know, it starts right there at Saratoga. Right at that light, that's a massive light. It's just another corridor. But it can all work out, and then there's going to be another corridor, hopefully. We'll see, and that should be the freeway. The one that we're proposing with Lehigh, with UDOT, to make something point A to B, just move them across, get them down low. It does involve the lake. And so...
Not this one, you're
Not this
talking
one.
about different, okay.
But that needs study, and it needs environmental as well. So I'm comfortable with this, but we have some checks and balances in place that if we're not, we're going to retreat a little bit or say, this is what we need in it.
But this is what goes out and meets with the road to Westlake and the new Holiday Oil right there on the corner, the roundabouts. Yeah, this is critical stuff.
Is this on our transportation master plan? The alignment that's set? Okay, that's what I would ask that and look it up
I would
on
take
there.
this, Councilman Taylor. It is critical. It's really critical for out west. But as critical as it is, it can't become so critical to us that it just brings confusion, so much traffic to us by way of getting to the front runner and or even I-15 core, that it could be real detrimental. And so, as long as we can get through it and we're not held up.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing really fast, so it's hard to say, but theoretically, the more east-west you build, the better it should be. Because it should disperse the traffic onto different roads. So if we can get Lakeshore in and another freeway and 200 South and a couple of different things that go east-west, theoretically it should be better.
Right, and this project, the scope of it's going to be to purchase the entire right-of-way, the 105 acres. So we'll have, we'll have it set up for 2 lanes in each direction. But we're only going to build 2 lanes, period, so 1 lane in each direction, and then we'll do what we can to do all the improvements at the intersections.
Wait, did you say 5 lanes in each direction or 5 lanes total?
5 lanes, it's 5 lanes total, so you have that, so you have the center 2 lanes.
I was about to vote no.
Right.
Well, it's a freeway.
Yeah, so I mean, as we're getting to 7th West, we would do the improvements at 9th West, so there's going to be that connectivity both north and south like I spoke to. And then if anything else were to happen in there, if anything else, if 11th West came further down, we would connect into that. If Lakeshore or whatever happens, I mean, because we're talking 4 or 5 years out when we're actually going to be building this probably, or 3, if we're really
At least
aggressive.
3 years before it starts even.
I would think so. We got a lot of...
You got a lot of right-of-way.
You have to do studies and then you have to do
I
design.
mean, so far, we've
and then you
gotten
have to do
some positive
mitigation.
feedback from one of the property owners, but that doesn't mean that they're all going to be, and we have to go through the process.
That's gonna take the time.
Requirement that we have for, because I appreciate your comments, Mayor, because the last thing we want to do is just push that traffic into this area that's already catastrophic in my mind. And we've talked a lot about having that lake connection. If we have that between now and then, that makes this a world better, where we can tie you to that point and go right into that roundabout down to, what is that, 1700?
15.
get out. But I think it's really important that we prioritize to go with this. I think it's a great idea. We gotta make sure that we prioritize the continuation of that, because we can't dump all of that traffic into a subdivision that's probably not working.
Agreed.
It puts us with tasks, but we do it, we have time, we're smart, we have good help.
Yes, and we're
and,
Are we?
We'll do it, so. Okay.
We've already contacted landowners, you said?
We just had one that happened to be in this week, and we spoke to them, and they seemed pretty positive about it. They understood it. It wasn't like they threw up a bunch of red flags and anything like that, so.
Okay.
Mayor, I'd move to adopt the resolution approving the interlocal cooperation agreement between Lehigh City and American Fork City related to Pony Express Parkway Extension Lehigh to AF project, and authorize the city to send the necessary documents.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Okay, item number 7 is a consideration and action to enter into a closed session to discuss items described in Utah State Code 52-4-204 and 52-4-205. The purpose of the closed session is to discuss the sale and purchase of a property and the character and professional competency of an individual. Do I have a motion to enter into a closed session?
So moved.
Motion by
Mayor, one moment.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we also need to add investigative proceedings regarding allegation of criminal misconduct.
Okay. And we might have to, so I'm just going to add to my voice what Heather just said.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember John, second by Councilmember Hunter. And I'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Okay, for everybody's information, we are going to convene downstairs in this closed session. When it is completed, we will open the door and we will convene our regular city council meeting from downstairs. So thank you for being here, everybody.